Thanks everybody for joining us today. John Collins partnered with Parkbench to share with you things about Pacific Beach that I love and that you need to know about businesses, events, things that are going on. And today I am very privileged to be joined by Mary Sarain. She is the owner and founder of Pure Cupcakes, and we will tell you all about it. But if you haven't been there, I'll cheat to the end. You got to go try this place because the cupcakes are unbelievable.
Nice.
But yes, let's jump in. Mary, thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about Pure Cupcakes. You started in 2009, is that right?
Yeah, so I started out of my house. I was working for a global diagnostic company for a number of years. And this was just kind of a side thing that I was doing more for just as giveaways and doing it also for my company, like different holiday parties and whatnot. And then while I was still working there, I actually did a cake for a friend and who had another friend from a diagnostic company, and they called me up and asked me to do a cake. I had no idea, but that was my segue into actually my very first client. And that was led me to some food trucks, Devilicious Food Truck, which was on the Great Food Truck race, and they were winners. So it was a really nice kind of a step in, but I was still kind of doing this other real job and an opportunity kind of good and bad in that I lost my job. It was actually moving to the East Coast. So I spent a good solid year transitioning that and kind of worked myself out of a job. And then I thought, okay, what am I going to do next? And so this I had kind of just through just organic, started getting a lot of leads, a lot of people interest, repeat customers. So by the time in 2011, in earnest, I had about 70 customers.
Oh, wow.
And yep. And I was doing it out of my home. And then I actually had to apply for a business license and a health permit, which meant I had to give it a name. And it's a scratch-based business. So that's everything I've learned. I don't depend on, artificial extracts or packaging. It's everything is scratch. That's what I was taught. And so I gave the name Pure. And probably within maybe 3 months, I got a call from Food Network of being in a commercial space. Yeah.
Within 3 months of being, that's incredible.
Yeah. So it was that quick. So I got a call in April 2012, and I was already in a commercial space. And by July, I was filming. And it was awesome. And everything I did, all my recipes are my own. And so I just kind of didn't try to recreate the wheel. I wanted to approach this kind of like how poker, because I played a lot of poker when I was, but just socially. And so I just kind of approached it like that and did really well.
That's terrific. And you alluded to the Cupcake Wars and that show, and I definitely want to get into that. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit more about the inception of the business, just because you talked about how you were trained. So who brought you along in that, and who was doing the training, and who have you taken guidance from or looked up to in business along the way?
So it's really been my first mentor. I worked in corporate housing back in the 90s, actually at Oakwood on Ingram. I've lived in and around PB since the mid 80s. So I'm a local. And one of the things was my mentor, Steve Bergstrom, he was very much a promoter. Like he just let me run with a lot of things and he entrusted me. And so I learned some from that role, financials. And then I eventually moved into startups, diagnostic startups. And that evolved to my last role with this large global company. And I learned, and I started out in materials management, supply chain, customer service for sure. So I learned a lot of skills along the way. So, my naivety, I went into the cupcakes really not knowing anything other than I had a lot of skill sets and trainings that I knew I could apply. So I had a pretty good understanding for costing and budgets and financials and stuff. So that's really kind of where it started. I did partner with a friend of mine for the first few years. And this was kind of a side thing for her, more primary for me. And eventually I took over the business entirely in 2017. And it's been really good. And we've always been just very, very, gosh, what's the word? Lucky, blessed. And it's been good.
Well, it is, there's a certain amount of luck, I suppose, but in business, and it's a common story, for myself and for a lot of business owners I talk to, where those steps that you take early on culminate, and then they all just sort of click together. I had a business background before I got into a corporate business background before I got into real estate, which is my day job. And I think that kind of background, especially when you're going into Cupcakes, had it been maybe a culinary training and you try to jump into business, maybe that doesn't go as well. But with that business acumen, you're able to pivot in and really apply that, and some risk analysis from poker, I guess.
Definitely. One thing I really do attribute to my success is really, recognizing the organic aspect and things, the universe puts things in front of you, and it's just whether you're willing to recognize it or take the leap of faith. And it's just, it was just that process that landed me in Pacific Beach specifically. So I looked for spaces for quite a long time, and it was just this space at this right moment and for the right price. And it's really been a blessing. So I feel very, very grateful for where I'm at, and how successful we have been, as well as just the clientele's really obviously is huge. And then my staff is great. I have staffers that have been with me 8-9 years now.
Wow.
So I have a great retention, and everyone's just very committed to it at all. And it's very, very exciting.
That is exciting. And you mentioned the location. Why don't we go ahead and tell people where physically they can find you? And they're doing a little work over there right now as well. Huh?
Yeah, a lot of work. So it's been needing a facelift, so that's good. But I'm actually at Pacific Plaza. I'm just adjacent to the Vons and the Starbucks bungalow that is connected to Jamba Juice. It's under a facelift right now, so hopefully in the next couple of months it'll be completed. But I have been there since late 2012. So it's not quite 10 years out of there. But, we've done, small remodels inside. With the latest is we have done equipment upgrades. I have a walk-in that I'm just waiting for the final permit to come through. So there's a lot of, it's really surprising in the small space that we do have. It's like less than 1,200 square feet, but we churn out an incredible volume there. So we do a lot of corporate clients, especially prior to COVID. My focus was corporate, convention, hotels, weddings, and a lot of fundraisers. COVID definitely changed the landscape, and so I lost huge segments. But the amazing part of all this is that was replaced with just private consumers. And so, again, it's been a blessing that we've been able to weather this, and we are fairly optimistic in our future.
That's terrific. Obviously, it sounds like you took over entirely in 2017. Little did you know, in a couple of years, the world was going to just turn upside down. So, and you alluded to it, sounds like a good section of your business is events and catering, and that has largely went away. And what did you do to adjust and help get the private market to help compensate for you? And now that we're coming out of it, bumping along out of it, how are things looking for you?
Well, I will tell you, everything is very much repeat and referral based. So I don't have a huge marketing budget. In fact, my marketing budget, I really focus on fundraisers. That's where I put my money. It's just, how do I say this? We do not have to spend an exorbitant amount of time marketing ourselves. In fact, I have not a very good social media presence, in that it's not highly active. We don't post a lot. My website currently is being rebuilt right now. So, but that hasn't stopped people from finding us. I mean, we are now sometimes booked out 2 weeks in advance. So it's been the challenge is really just meeting the demand. And, now weddings are coming back. So I'm getting anywhere from 2 to 4 wedding requests a day.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
it's insane. It's insane. I can't even keep up with it.
So that's an important thing to differentiate. When you say weddings, you're doing cakes and actual wedding cakes as well as cupcakes and
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we do have other things besides cupcakes. So in the store, we have a nice rotating menu. We carry anywhere from 18 to 20 regular menu flavors, both that are throughout the year as well as seasonal. And then we also have a really nice vegan gluten-free line. So we have up to 11 flavors going on to 12 shortly that we carry every single day. And so our clientele for the vegan gluten-free has grown exponentially. So that's big. And we do cakes. We do, cake pops, lemon bars, vegan gluten-free bars, mousses, all sorts of different varieties. So things you can order or that, we carry in the store. So
very cool. Good to get that information out. I know he said we talk about it a little bit. I'm sure you get asked about it all the time. Tell us a little bit about 3 months into a new business venture. You're on TV.
Oh God.
What happened?
That was interesting. In fact, when I got the call in April, I was at Jordan's at Tower 23, and I thought someone was punking me. I was like, come on, what is this? And it was a producer. And so, like I said, in a few months, I was then filming the show, and it aired. It was the season premiere for early 2013. And in that time frame between filming and airing, we were building out our store. That was already in the process when we were filming. So that took a few months to get done, but it was amazing. And when it finally launched, I mean, it was insane. The turnout, people just showing up. And I still get people, just freak out a little bit when they see me, but I'll tell you, it's
what an incredible springboard for your business.
It was a good experience. I loved it. And, I got called back, but it's definitely not my avenue. I mean, even doing this with you is just not my vein. No desire to go on TV again, but I was lucky enough that I referred one of my former decorators, and she went on and to another show, and she was able to win. So it was awesome. I feel like that was meant for her, not for me. And but it was a good experience, and I did some presentations. I did speaking engagements for a couple of years, and that was a lot of fun. It was all to get the business going and the name out there, and it's worked. It's been great. I've been very blessed.
It absolutely has. I mean, we had my wife's birthday a couple of weeks ago, and we had pure cupcakes, and everybody in Pacific Beach, is in love with your store. So you mentioned fundraisers and that things are starting to happen on a larger scale again. Anything you want us to know about?
I would love it. So the next event that is going to be our very first since COVID started, and that's the San Diego Zoo Food and Wine. So we've done that since 2012. That was actually part of the Cupcake Wars show. It was so awesome that we've continued every year. Unfortunately, since COVID had started, that had been postponed, but we are going forward. September 18th, it's Saturday, and it runs from 6:30 to 10:30. You can buy your tickets online, and it is the largest fundraiser for the San Diego Zoo each year. So it's real important to participate. And we always provide at least a couple thousand samples, and it's a great turnout. It's all you can eat, all you can drink.
Done.
So, yeah. and then the other large one we like to do is the Concours d'Elegance in La Jolla. It's a 3-day event that's usually done in April. That's a real fun one. And so we do that, both the gala and the Sunday event, and that one's an amazing one. So if you ever can go, it's just amazing, beautiful cars, beautiful place in the cove, and then planes are flying. It's just a really neat experience.
Wonderful. We'll make sure everybody gets the information they need to link over to those events as well, and hopefully attend and share.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always like to devote a couple of minutes before we wrap up to Pacific Beach, because this is a site centered on serving the community and sharing information. So I always like to ask, what are a couple of your favorite things to do in Pacific Beach, and or a business or two that you would like to shed a little light on?
Oh gosh. Well, so anything around PBI, I have a great time. Of course, Mr. Frosty's is awesome.
Yeah.
Custards on Sundays. Hoboken Pizza was always my family's jam. We love doing that place. I like just biking around, walking around. It's beautiful going down the boardwalk when it's not so congested. I'm older now, so I kind of stay north, not down by the Belmont. Can get a little hectic for my age. One of the things I do want to, there's such a military presence there in PB. So we offer discounts. We offer 10% discounts for active military, fire, police, nurses. So we want to always give back to the community. We've been doing that since the day we opened the doors. So we definitely encourage people to take advantage of that. And we also do offer happy hour. So happy hour is 20% discount. It's Monday through Friday. It's from 3 to 5. You do have to mention it. So I would definitely encourage you to come on in.
Cupcake happy hour. That sounds incredible.
I know, right? Well, because with us, we make everything every day. So I prefer to have the store empty by the end of the day. So if I can get things out and get sold, otherwise, then it goes half off the following day and so forth. So thankfully, we don't have to do that too often. So, but COVID definitely kind of changed the traffic coming in. So the traffic into the store has died down a bit. So I always want to just, restate that these offers are available.
Terrific. We'll make sure to get that word out.
Yeah.
Mary, I appreciate your time so much and the opportunity to get this word out. And for those few who maybe haven't crossed, your company.
Surprise, there are a few.
Well, everybody I know in Pacific Beach knows you, but if you're out there and you are watching this and you haven't tried Pure Cupcakes, they are, truly special and truly like you bite into them, and they are not your average cupcake. They're incredible. So hopefully people will go out there and try it. Real quick, again, I know Vaughn's Plaza, but address, website, any other contacts you want to share?
Yeah. So our address is 1772 Garnett Avenue. We're right next to Starbucks. Under construction. It's a little weird to get to us. There's a little pathway you have to enter over by Einstein Bagels. Hopefully that's just temporary, maybe another month or so on that. And our website is purecupcakes.com. It's currently going under a major remodel. We're going to have online ordering, so it's real time. Nice. You can pay for it directly while you're ordering. That's going to hopefully launch in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So my original website's so old that the software is no longer applicable to the server. So I had to upgrade. So anyways, it'll be good. And that's basically it.
Well, terrific. And again, I'll make sure that all the links and everything are accessible to people who are joining us. And again, Mary, thanks so much for your time. Everybody check out Pure Cupcakes. It's incredible. And enjoy Pacific Beach. Mary, again, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good day.